Hi, I am Dani and I am so glad that you are here. In today's videos, we're going to be looking at a 2020 review. So every year before I start setting my intentions and my goals and my dreams for the coming year, I do a retrospective and I look at the year that we have just experienced and I see what I can learn and how I can carry that into the future. And I've done different processes over the years. If you would like to share yours, please do. I have done Danielle Laporte. Danielle Laporte, yeah, has a system. I think I did that one for the last couple of years, the Desire Map. But this year I'm doing something a little bit different. It was kind of inspired by David Goggins, his AAR, his after action report. So I read his book, and so it's kind of based on that loosely, but it is just a more kind of practical, looking at just what works, what didn't. There's 4 categories. What were the successes? What were the failures? I don't really call them that. The things that went well, the things that didn't go well. And then as I look at those things that went well and didn't go well, what lessons have I learned so that moving forward I can incorporate that? And also, what ideas am I still working on? Like, I haven't quite figured this one out, but I'm going to try this or that. So this is a big process. It takes, I spend a couple of hours, at least 2 or 3 or 4 different times where I really go through. First of all, on the review though, I sat down to do it without putting in my getting out my planner. I thought I'll just look back at 2020. Here's the first thing. I can't remember anything unless I look at my planner. And like, the whole year is like a blur. And I don't know if that's just because I think the whole 2020 thing, we all know what's been going on this year. Part of it is that, but part of it is getting older. I don't know. I'm very much kind of a in the moment person generally. And so once I'm through something, I tend to kind of forget it, or I tend to kind of put it out of my mind. So it was so valuable. Thank goodness for my bullet journal, okay? The first thing I noticed as I was going through last year was that in January of 2020, I had 6 different habit trackers going, okay? If you do the bullet journal, you probably know what a habit tracker is. It's just like this whole list. I had 1-page, double-page spread of days of the month 1 through 31, and there was a little X or a little colored in, like, did you do this habit today? Yes or no. Did you do this one? Did you do this one? I had 6 things that I was working on. I'm like, okay, it's January 1st. I'll start 6 new habits. Like, even now when I think about that, I make myself giggle because I tend to be so all or nothing. Like, I go full speed, 100 miles an hour, or I sit, or I go in reverse. But I don't really I'm not a moderate kind of person. I'm kind of all in. I'm very passionate. I either feel it and really want to move forward, or I don't, and then I kind of wait till I feel it or try to get inspired. But until I'm really inspired about something, I usually don't move forward. And then sometimes I'll get inspired about 6 things all at once and think that's a good idea. It's not. So it never is. And as I was looking at what habits actually worked and which ones didn't, almost none of them did. I mean, I did a terrible job on basically all of them because I was trying to do all the things at once. It's so good to know this about yourself, and just, I can laugh about it now. Then, okay, here's another great thing about doing a whole year in review is you can so clearly see your patterns. So 3 months later, in early April, I set out a new habit tracker, but I only had 3 things. So you think, so I'm like, to my mind, I'm like, oh, it was getting a little bit better. Still, I did terrible. The habits that I was tracking, one of them I did very well. And then the other two were terrible. And about maybe the middle of the month or so, I stopped even keeping track of them. So I got discouraged and just stopped. One of the books that I'm going to read coming up early in 2021 is called Atomic Habits. And I think the basic idea behind Atomic Habits is just building in little bitty steps. I think this can be really useful for me. Now, I do like that I'm passionate and I like being full steam ahead. It's engaging. It makes me, I get swept up in emotions. I have this enthusiasm and I like to get things done. It's very positive when it's working, but not when I try to do all the things at once. So I feel like going into the new year, I'm going to be much more focused, trying to do one thing at a time. I really have, like in my strategy and in my plan, I'm really looking at one thing per month of really focusing on and really expanding. So I'll be doing lots of learning, lots of research, and lots of implementation in different areas, but I'm only going to focus on one per month. And so I'm pretty excited about that because I just really started that in November. And so November and December have been working swimmingly. And so in January, I will have this new focus and I've already started to kind of go down that road a little bit. So that's going to work well for me. So that's just one of those things that I thought would be kind of fun to share. So we look at what went well, what didn't go well, what lessons did I learn? So what did I figure out? And then what is still kind of in progress? So what am I still working on? So what maybe experiments to do in the new year or something? I have a couple of those. I noticed for this last year, we know that 2020 was a very different year for almost all of us for one reason or another. Many people had very, very big life changes in 2020, maybe even the loss of employment, the illness, loss in the family, loss of all kinds. Or some people, may have been able to do some expansion during this very trying time. Maybe you have a business that actually was more successful because people were home or people were spending in a certain way or whatever that is. But it definitely wasn't a typical year for probably almost anyone. But that being said, I do feel like 2020 was a good time for me of kind of a focusing of back to the basics, which is very important because as I said in the beginning, I tend to want to do all the things. I get very scattered and then things don't go all according to plan and then I get discouraged and then I stop, right? Anyone else with me? Is anyone else with me? Can you relate to this? Okay. So one thing, right, the year in review is like, it's so nice to look at a whole year. You can see your patterns so clearly. Like all my patterns were jumping out at me. Some of them I kind of realized on the back burner, but some I didn't realize maybe were quite as pronounced as they were, and like where I could do better and how I could make those things go a little better. So I did well with some of the stable things, some of the basics of life. I did well with establishing some new routines and things. Routines are very important. For me personally, routines and specifically sleep routines, work routines, self-care, all of this, getting it into a habit, getting it into a regular flow of being. This year I started a regular sleep routine where I would go to bed around the same time, whether I was working early the next day or whether I wasn't, and really kind of keeping that steady. It's not been super perfect as of right now, but over the year as a whole, I have done much better at this. And getting the proper amount of sleep has made a big difference in my overall, the way that I feel just every single day. I used to be one of those people when I was younger, would be a procrastinator, like let's say in college or whatever, and I would write a paper the night before, things like that, right? And so again, the all or nothing thing, the kind of almost manic, that whole thing, I would take all that adrenaline and all that have to right now and use it as focus and really get things done. not very good for me because I would always worry about it, and it was a lot of stress, and it isn't the ideal way to be, but that's just how I was. But this year I have really done much better at having some routines, doing some better self-care, doing things on more of a schedule. I'd started going to the chiropractor regularly about every 4 weeks instead of getting so bad and then being in pain and getting frequent headaches and getting some pain in my neck and shoulders and then having to go quite a bit to get it all loosened up again and then letting it get bad. That was my typical routine, and now I'm kind of in this 4 week routine that's really serving me well. So a lot of things that I've done in 2020 have been more of stabilization, of process improvement. A lot of that has worked really well. I've done well with budgeting and my spending plans and things, all of those things. And I think what happened in the springtime of 2020 has kind of helped to refocus all of that, because so many of our distractions, my distractions are movies and books and going out with friends and happy hour. That I'm very social. I like to go out with friends. I like to sit on a deck outside and have happy hour. I like all of those things, and having a lot of that stripped away, while it didn't always feel good, has helped me to focus on the basics and make my foundation. I feel like my foundation right now is stronger than it has been in a very long time because of some things like that. I also had some depression, and I was kind of battling some other things as well, but I took this time to get the help that I needed to refocus on that self-care, on getting the support, on getting the stuff that I needed to help me live the best life that I can, and support my own health and well-being, emotional health, physical health, all of that. So good year according to that as well. Just realizing how important nature is and how much I need nature. So what is it about this year-end review that I think is helpful to other people? Have I covered that? Have I covered my process? I believe that I have. If you have any questions about it, or you have your own process that you want to share, I would love to hear it. And I'm really looking forward to now moving forward to the 2021 plan and intention and all of that, and putting that together. I really have kind of already done it. I'm very clear about a lot of what I want moving forward. And so that makes it so much easier. I think even a year ago, I was kind of confused. I didn't exactly know what I wanted. And it's so much harder to move forward when you don't know what you want. And not only, I think honestly, maybe I kind of knew what I wanted, but I was going through a period where I wasn't sure I could have it. I wasn't sure it was going to work out. I did my own life coaching business for a couple of years. And then 2.5 years ago, I let it go away. I let it go, and I started a regular job, right? And so part of that for me felt like such a big failure, and it felt like such a heartbreak, that I think for a while I kind of convinced myself that maybe, not that I couldn't have what I wanted, but that I couldn't have what I wanted. Maybe, right? So it was just hard for a while. It was hard to put my belief, put my energy, put my enthusiasm into something new, because I was still kind of in mourning. I was still sad that it didn't work out and that I couldn't continue to do that. And I really felt divinely guided. I really felt inspired and like I was on the right path. So when it didn't work, then I made it wrong. Like, oh, my intuition, boy, I thought I really had that nailed, and I must not have, because it didn't work out, or it didn't succeed, or, I couldn't keep it up. So I had a lot of that to work through. And now I feel like finally that I have, now I can have this new dream, and I can make the steps that I need moving forward, because I believe that I can have it, because I'm not still mourning over old dreams that didn't, come true. And I'm thinking of that old Garth Brooks song of Garth Brooks. But anyway, that old song, about unanswered prayers, right? And how we want things, but they aren't always necessarily the best things for us. And sometimes we can look back and see how it really is always working out for the best. So I am just taking this new approach. I'm very optimistic, and not only am I optimistic that I can have my dreams, meet my goals and my dreams and all of that and bring it to fruition, also that the journey, the me I am when I'm pursuing that, the me I am when I'm going for that, and when I'm working on these YouTube videos, when I am looking for a van to start little van life so I can start taking trips and things like that, converting a minivan into a camper, moving forward with that, moving forward with some blogging and stuff, moving forward with the planning, the implementation. So I'm doing YouTube, and then I'm starting an Etsy store, and then I'm going to start some social media. Again, I'm not doing it all at once. I'm doing it month by month, monthly focus. Yay me. Okay, so I think that is something that we can all just kind of look at, and it might be valuable for other people. What do you do as your year-end review, or have you ever done a year-end review? I also like to do them around my birthday, which is May 1st, so it kind of gives me like a half of the year, so I can kind of break it down a little more often than once a year. But boy, these yearly ones are so good for seeing your patterns and really see things emerge. I think they're very powerful, and it's a lot more powerful for me personally than just setting intentions, or maybe setting resolutions, or I would always end up with resolutions like, oh, I want to lose weight, and then it would end up on my list every single year, and then I would either succeed or fail, or succeed and then fail. All of that, leaving all of that behind. So really excited about 2021, as I know most of us are. Ready to leave 2020 behind, ready to keep moving forward. So let's do that. I am glad you're here. Let me know about your process. Let me know about what went well, what didn't go well this year for you. And then we'll talk in one of my next videos about planning for the future, what we're creating in the coming year. What's more fun than that? All right, so thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Like if you like, if you love, subscribe. If you think you know someone else who might love it, then share the video. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.